What widely known fact within your area of expertise remains obscure to the general population? Corporate cybersecurity. You will absolutely get owned in either the dumbest way possible or the most advanced way possible. The archetype of the lone, moderately skilled hacker in a basement, somewhere being a solo hacktivist, is basically non-existent. All the folks from Fever Dream already have malware in half your systems because they backdoored your VPN infrastructure 2 years ago. I have been patiently owning all of your employees one by one. That drug use possession is a public health crisis, not a criminal justice crisis. I work in law enforcement, and we have clear studies, often funded, conducted by our own, that very clearly shows addressing it through the criminal justice system doesn't work. But we just do it anyway. Cops, DAS, and others in law enforcement openly say they know it doesn't make a difference, that people hate seeing people use drugs and be high, so they just keep prosecuting, arresting them. Offie for me, then the coffee is classified as a pop and taxable, unless they also put a dairy product or substitute in the coffee, which overrides the sugar, making it a food product that is tax-free. I indicate my intent to drink the coffee on the premises, at which point it becomes taxable on premises food consumption. Of course, this can all be avoided if I put the sweetener in myself and take it to go or purchase it through a drive-through. Solar panel efficiency is irrelevant to whether they are a cost-effective investment or not. They hover around 20 efficient today, and also did dating back to the 1990s. What's changed is how cheap they've gotten. Not through efficiency gains, but through manufacturing economies of scale. People use efficiency to bag on PV, but if you halved or doubled the efficiency of all new ones tomorrow, it wouldn't change the world that much. Parents should coach their children throughout their lives to become as independent as possible by, at least, 18 years old. Young people going into college, for example, should know how to do their own research into which majors they want to research in the universities they're interested in. Not kidding here. 99 of the emails and phone calls I receive as a major administrator is from parents. Retail associate here ... We often have to place price tag stickers on areas that makes it hard for any shoplifter to remove. Unfortunately, it has to be where we get a lot of complaints from honest customers. However, there are ways to remove them with heat. It's also why we don't allow items like a hairdryer, because it provides enough heat to remove the stickers without damaging the items. 35 meters integrity, honesty, kindness, loyalty, trust, respect, competence, fairness, justice, peace. Do you know? These concepts are not rights and or entitlements. None of these concepts can ever be expected, requested and or demanded. These concepts can only be granted from one person to another. And these concepts come traveling by foot, but run off by horse. I'm finance, and if you don't have a decent-sized account or investment, you have rookie know-nothing people handling your stuff. Your FA doesn't have more than 15 years in record minimum, so not give him money. He has to spend 3 of his time growing his book and giving the work to his army of free interns and crappy assistants. No Land Beyond is the best sniper ever created in any video game or real life forever all time. The name of this weapon is in reference to a quote engraved on the coffin of World War II Russian sniper Vasily Grigorievich Zaitsev, which read for us, "There was no land beyond the Volga." D1 Trials Sherpa Get Real. Macready numbers, or speed to fly numbers. Super helpful to understand how to soar cross-country as fast as possible to fly. Org Wiki Speed to Fly. Macready. The federal meal program is likely not the cause of your child's low-quality school lunches. The regulations are fairly reasonable to work within and still put out high-quality, nutritious meals. Your child's school district has chosen to offer the poorest quality food on their own. Likelihood of exposure to HIV. And due to the Ryan White programs, people diagnosed with HIV often experience improved access to healthcare and better health outcomes as a result of their HIV diagnosis. The false alarm rate for burglar alarms exceeds 95% in many communities. A U.S. Department of Justice paper on the issue of false burglar alarms cited a city that had higher rates of catching a burglar in the act in premises without an alarm than in premises with an alarm. You shouldn't wear white gloves when handling old books. Just wash your hands and don't rub images or text. But YTF would you do that anyway? Wearing gloves reduces sensitivity in your fingers, making it more difficult to handle these materials with maximum care. Not every man who works in a hospital is a doctor. Not every woman who works in a hospital is a nurse. There are tons of hospital employees with no clinical background because there's a ton of work to do that doesn't require that level of knowledge. Bedbugs don't make you a nasty person with a nasty home. An infestation isn't due to a sanitation issue. They're an imported pest, which means they hitched a ride on something you brought into the house, usually luggage or furniture. You cannot donate organs if you are dead. Tissues, yes. But if you die in a car accident, none of your whole organs are usable. Doesn't seem like it would be obscure, but you'd be surprised how many people don't know this. There is no talent in musicianship. Nobody is born a pianist or cellist. Everyone sucks at first. The only difference between musicians and non-musicians is that we practice our asses off for hours and hours and hours. I work in banking, and I'd say regulations about structuring. They're all out there publicly available for you to read, but illegal for bankers to explain to you because we could be telling you how to launder money. You can't turn a bad black and white scan of an image into a poster sign-sized high-quality full-color image with a click of a button. I'm a designer, and the amount of people that ask me to do this is astounding. You can't turn a bad black and white scan of an image into a poster sign-sized high-quality full-color image with a click of a button. I'm a designer, and the amount of people that ask me to do this is astounding. If even one microscopic larvae from a zebra mussel gets into a waterway in an unaffected area, it can multiply exponentially and end up causing hundreds of millions of dollars in damage to the economy. Conservation of energy. Yes, you've probably learned that in 3rd grade, but most people don't understand what those words mean. I see people get so confused by basic Newtonian physics all the time. The single biggest risk factor for trauma is being male. About 80% of trauma deaths are male, and this generally holds true across mechanisms and ages. The majority of preschoolers who drown are male. As a travel agent, it really is as simple as you would imagine. There's no secret to booking travel. All you have to do is use your brain. That's the part that people don't like, apparently. The final test of the safety of any intervention is the public. Related, you're unlikely to detect a 1 in a million risk until you've given the intervention to a few million people. It's tangentially related to my work, but despite mental health awareness being the highest it has ever been, society has become less tolerant to the real expression of most disorders. Even the strongest association is not necessarily causal. There's a very strong association between lung cancer and coffee drinking, but it's not causal. Because smokers love coffee. Falling knives don't have handles. The only horse that won't spook is a dead one. A person is smart. People are dumb. Panicky, dangerous animals, and you know it. Wear sunscreen. Asbestos is still everywhere, and currently being sold in many big box stores in America. If you knew what to look for, you'd see asbestos-containing materials all over the place. Work in IT support. 85% of the time I'm Googling your issue symptoms as you explain them to me, and performing the first few things Google search spits out, which usually works. Age is the biggest risk factor for most non-infectious diseases, and some infectious ones. A healthy 70-year-old is worse off for almost anything than a sickly 20-year-old. The tanks that heat water are called water heaters. The term hot water heater is a redundancy because water heaters, in fact, heat all liquid water. Most people can't intuitively grasp a number more than about 1,000. An 11,000 chance is treated as being about the same as a 1/100,000 chance. Alcohol is one of the most harmful drugs to the user and people around them. It's much less dangerous than class A drugs such as LSD and MDMA. Your new car you drove out of the shop has possibly been parked on a massive field with 1,000 other new cars for the last 2 years. Fever and/or vomiting by itself is not a medical emergency. Take some Tylenol. Sip some ginger ale. Watch The Price is Right. Tracking radio listenership is like herding cats, and at the end of herding 100,000 cats, you only manage to get 75. Real estate appraisal reports are opinions of value, not fact. Residential appraisal is an art, not a science. That HIPAA is a real thing. And I can't talk to you about your account without verifying who you are. The amount a light pole can flex up to 15 of its height under full load and still be considered safe. I'm in IT and most people don't know that a reboot fixes a lot of things. It's a closely held secret. Military fighter jets fly with a multitude of acceptable faults and limitations on use routinely. Methadone clients will likely have a script for gabapentin as well. It helps to increase the high. You really don't have to sell that many books to make it onto the bestseller list. That even a short 3-second CGI shot in a movie can take many months of work. That the speed of sound in seawater is 4,800 feet per second on average. I'm a teacher. We aren't trying to brainwash your kids or turn them gay. Remove the rubber bands from to a lobster before you cook them. The characteristic impedance of free space is about 377 ohms.